Hello all you whiskey aficionados out there. This is Mark from WhiskyWhistle bringing you whiskey review number 17. With us today is Monkey Shoulder from William Grant & Sons. What is this whiskey? Well, it is a blended malt Scotch whiskey, not to be confused with a blended Scotch whiskey. So the only thing that goes in this bottle is single malt, but in fact more than one. From more than one distillery. Okay, so in fact, William Grant & Sons refer to this as a triple malt, which is not really an accepted term, but they can certainly hint at that in their advertising and their website, which they do. Anyway, let's have a look at the bottle. There you go. And, well, just a little bit about that. Let's have a look here. Monkey Shoulder, batch 27, smooth and rich, blended malt Scotch whiskey. Rooted in malt whiskey history and inspired by the malt men who still turn the malting barley by hand, Monkey Shoulder is blended in small batches from 3 of Speyside's finest single malt whiskeys to achieve a smoother, richer taste. Okay, why is it called batch 27, you may ask? The reason is, apparently, David Stewart, the former malt master, it took him 27 different combinations to get it right. So the 27th one was the winner, and hence the name batch 27. And if you look closely, you can see 3 monkeys there on the bottle. So that's quite an interesting addition to the bottle. I believe that's maybe some brass. So pretty cool. And 3 of them indicating the 3 malts that are included. Each of them of the same size, so that may hint at the proportions, and each of them resting on the back of the other. So quite interesting. Let's uncork that one. This is 43% ABV, and well, it's probably chill filtered. And maybe a little bit of coloring, but again, this is a blended malt. Needs to have a little bit of standard appeal, eye appeal, and so on. This is quite famous in the bartending circles for making things like Manhattans and old fashions and those things that require top quality whiskey. Also a cork, so that's great again. So let's pour a little bit of that. We'll let it sit for a little bit. That's a short pour. There we go. Always spill a little bit. All right. So again, let's get through the nosing and the tasting, and then we'll carry on with a little bit more about this particular whiskey. And well, it's very sweet on the nose and floral, in fact. And the sweetness I liken to berries, so ripe strawberries and raspberries. There's a honey note there as well. And also a fruity olive oil, which may seem a little bit weird, but you know, if you pick up some of the really top quality naturally what is that called? Naturally draining olive oil, is that called cold press? Anyway, without any weight added to the top of the olives. Some of the top quality ones have a very fruity scent to it. So anyway, something a little bit oily. I thought it was maybe something kind of like a leather at first, but anyway, I'm going to stick with fruity olive oil of the extra virgin variety. So quite an interesting nose. Let's give it a taste. Cheers to you. Again, this is very, very sweet. There's hardly any sour notes there. So imagine a strawberry jam, something where the focus is the sweetness. You know, fresh strawberries have a little bit of sourness to it, but the cooked and preserved strawberry jam has a much sweeter flavor to it, doesn't it? Never mind the addition of sugar. A little bit of leather, and then again this olive oil flavor also comes through in the palate, in the taste. Finish-wise, again, strawberry is featured, some milk chocolate, and it's medium length, medium to long, not too short, so that's quite nice. Try one more little taste rather. The florals come through in the palate as well. Something like the Turkish Delights, the rose flavored ones. I forget the real name of Turkish Delights. Lokum, maybe? So the rose lokum, pretty cool. Anyway, lovely package that they're offering here with wonderful sweetness throughout, honey featured, and this unusual fruity olive oil note that I'm enjoying. Great. Now 43% ABV, we can add a little bit of water. So we'll do that. About 5 milliliters. And just let that turn around a little bit. Give that a minute to sit there. You know, before I should continue, I want to throw a little shout out there to one of my subscribers, Vic. Vic, if you're watching, thank you so much for recommending a blended malt to be reviewed. So here it is. So thank you so much, and cheers to you as well. So let's give it another nosing and tasting with water. And with water, I find the floral notes really come alive. And the honey also comes a little bit more to the forefront. The olive oil, fruity olive oil note has sort of gone into the background. Still there, but less so. And how about the taste? And interestingly enough, with water, it is slightly more tart, a little bit more sourness in there, which I think is actually a little bit more balanced between the sweet and the sour. You know, you take sugar and put it on your tongue. It's sweet, doesn't taste that great, but take a cube of sugar, add a drop of lemon or lemon juice to it, and see how that tastes. And I tell you, you will probably enjoy it. I do. Anyway, I think that's why lemonade really works as a drink. So florals and honey coming through there, a little bit more balance on the palate. And well, in the finish, a little bit more spice, in fact, and some vanilla. So quite an interesting package there, and I can see why this would work well in a mixed drink. With water, you get a little bit more sourness, and you've got layers of malt and different flavors working together there. Final taste. Can't get enough of it, actually. Really nice. Now, as a blended malt Scotch whiskey, this is something that if you were to present to someone in a blind taste test, they would simply think this is a single malt Scotch whiskey. Of course, if somebody really knew the flavors of the malts involved, which we'll talk about in a minute, they might be able to figure out that it's a mix of more than one. So that's interesting to note anyway. Price-wise, though, this is also quite a good value. I think I paid $30 for this bottle. Excuse me. And after having opened it and tasted it, I can say that I probably should have bought, excuse me, at least one more because it's actually not available at the moment anyway in Korea. To the William Grant and Sons company who do operate here in Korea, I hope that you will consider releasing that in the Korean market very, very soon. I think you'll do quite well with it. So anyway, how about a mark for this particular whiskey? This is going to get 82 out of 100 for me for Monkey Shoulders blended malt Scotch whiskey from William Grant and Sons. 82 out of 100. I do like it quite a lot. However, I find it's a little bit thin in terms of the intensity of the flavors, and well, I do wish that it were more naturally presented. I think that would be good, at least to have a second choice, maybe having two Monkey Shoulders. Monkey Shoulder as it is, which is probably perfect for mixing, and then having also Monkey Shoulder, maybe call it the Monkey Shoulder Orangutan or something like that. Something that has maybe a little bit more kick for the ones who want to drink that absolutely neat or with a little bit of water. So anyway, 82 out of 100. Well worth it for the price. So I think you should definitely get a bottle if you can find one. To my friends back home in Winnipeg, well, I didn't see this in Winnipeg when I was there about a year ago. But who knows, maybe it is on the shelves now at the local liquor commission. So now, so let's talk a little bit more about the brand. Monkey Shoulder, again, I mentioned that this is from William Grant and Sons. Who are they? Well, they're the makers and the purveyors of Glenfiddich, which is the global #2 by volume single malt whiskey brand. So very interesting. They also own the Balvenie, which is one of the few single malt brands that does their own malting. So that's pretty cool. And hence Monkey Shoulder here can claim, as it does on the label, that they still turn the malt by hand. So that's interesting. They also opened up a new distillery, I believe, in the early 2000s, which is called Kininvie. Pardon my pronunciation if it's not correct. Kininvie, I think, is how it's said. This is something that is now up to, I believe, about 24 or 25 years since it's opened. Oh, so goodness, it's got to be much older than early 2000s. Pardon me. 25 would take it back down to 1990. So I guess that's probably around when it opened. It is located basically in the same sort of vicinity, the same property as I believe the Glenfiddich distillery, or is it the Balvenie distillery? One of the two. And smaller volume. Anyway, you should see some Kininvie being released within the next year or so. I saw a bottle at duty free not long ago. Considered buying it. I passed it up because I couldn't taste it. Probably had I tasted it, I may have bought a bottle. maybe I should have, because I think that's probably one of the rarer offerings. I think it was the 17-year-old that they had at here at the Incheon, Korea Incheon. What's it called? The where the planes come and go. The airport. Anyway, so at the airport, at the duty free there. Anyway, too bad that I couldn't have tasted it. I think you know, maybe if you could taste everything or almost everything that's available there, I think they might end up with more sales. Of course, it does cost money to offer. Anyway, so yeah, 23 or 25 years old by now. And this was the brainchild, as I mentioned, of the former malt master David Stewart. Now, the new malt master, Brian Kinsman, whose picture you'll see rolling through here, he looks after the brand and the proportions and the flavors to make sure that it's consistent. Anyway, so probably by now you've noticed the photos rolling past, and we'll go through those. So there is Brian Kinsman. Good job, sir. Thank you very much. And there's the bottle we're working with right now. Monkey Shoulder Batch 27. And the monkeys, aren't they lovely? And there's this is from the website showing the 3 different stills that are used. Glenfiddich and the Balvenie, and finally Kininvie. So a triple malt, a combination of Glenfiddich, the Balvenie, and Kininvie go into making Monkey Shoulder. And I have a feeling that fruity olive oil note, I believe, is probably from an older Kininvie that goes into this. And that's, of course, just my opinion, and I think that's, I think it's possible because, you know, Glenfiddich and the Balvenie have quite a huge demand for their products. Kininvie lying in the wings, slowly aging in the warehouses. I think they have some barrels that, you know, they're maybe just not quite ready to be released as a single malt for Kininvie. So it's an unknown. So they can take a little bit of that that older aged Kininvie, and they can add it to the younger popular Glenfiddich and the Balvenie that go in there, and end up with an aged note, which is this leathery sort of olive oily note that we're getting there. Now, again, that's just my opinion, and I could be wrong. And if you happen to know, you know, what ages of these 3 malts that go in there, please do leave a comment for me. Anyway, so well, anyway, so Monkey Shoulder, interesting brand, great little story. This was one of the last projects by the former malt master, David Stewart. And I think that this is definitely something that you should go out and find and try it neat, try it with water, try it over ice, and then, you know, make an old fashioned. Get yourself some bitters like Angostura bitters. Give yourself the sugar rimmed old fashioned glass with a few ice cubes, a little bit of Monkey Shoulder, some club soda, and a little bit of Angostura bitters. Give it a try. I'm sure that it would be something quite delectable. So anyway, that's about it for me. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure you tune in next time to Whiskey Whistle. My name is Mark, and I hope to see you again. Please subscribe if you are enjoying what you see. Thanks again, and take care.